Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Casey. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm actually horny.
What? What?
I'm horny, Casey.
What? And now I'm going to say something.
What?
And maybe this is, as Cynthia said 2 episodes ago, breaking the fourth wall, but we taped our interview with our guest previous to this, okay?
Yes, we did. Sometimes we have to do that.
And sometimes it has to do that. And I'm sorry if that breaks an illusion for you all, but I will say something to you, Danielle. When we were discussing the fact that Kenya Moore is wanting to have sex with her friends, I thought Danielle's really looks great. I wonder what goes on in Danielle's inner life of sexuality. And I thought, I bet Danielle's things are going well. And then I thought, I wonder if I would have sex with Danielle. And I thought, yes. But this is the thing, I do. I'm trying to listen to my intuitive notions. And what I felt from you was a sexuality jumping off the Zoom.
I think you're feeling that. I think I'm feeling in my sexual body right now.
Okay. And why?
A few reasons. I'm going to be honest. And one reason is so cheesy. It's that I've just been watching Bridgerton, which is that new Netflix series. And it is sexy.
Titillating.
It is titillating. More than titillating. It's just sex. And I don't know if it's because of that or one thing is the other, but I've been having a lot of sex.
What? You have more sex than any married person I know, and I want to salute you.
Sure
yes, you do.
Would disagree with you. I'm sure.
Well, he might disagree, but I'm telling you, I what I hear and I chat. I've got my ear to the ground. And do you want to share with us about how much you do? And I'd like to know what you think is upping it.
Oh, no. Because I feel like we have, it's like we're in the fucking pandemic.
But Danielle, in a normal swinging time for you guys, you are having sex 3 times a week.
Maybe. I mean, it depends. In like when we're really in our normal place, probably 2 to 3 times a week. And we've been together for like 20 years.
That's what I'm saying, Danielle. The fact that you're like, oh, it's not that much. Like, I think a lot of longtime couples are feeling very great to have it 1 time a week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And sometimes I'm like, ugh, not even. You know what I mean? Like you go through those phases where like, I don't
So I just wanted to get your baseline now. When we're now watching Bridgerton, where are we now?
I would say we're doing it like we couldn't this morning. We almost did this morning.
Morning?
Just because it was like we had to get ready for school, but we were starting down that road. But we had done it like the night before and the night before. Like we're really into some business. We did it like twice on the weekend. Like we're
My mouth is agape.
You are agog and aghast.
Oh, okay. Again, it's not that I think I have a very healthy, thriving sexual relationship.
You seem to.
I really do, but I do salute you. I think a lot of people listening, and I'll venture to say particularly women, and that's something for my goal for myself is to really like harness my sexual energy and really try to get after it this year. But during a pandemic, you don't hear too many people saying that.
And I will say a few months ago, I was in a drought.
Especially someone living in the epicenter of the pandemic.
Maybe it's that because I'm like, no one's promised tomorrow. Like it's very, is it that bunker mentality or something? Because I have gone through periods, believe you me, where one of us has been quarantined or or I just can't look at him anymore or he can't look at me. Like we're so sick of each other.
Well, we said this on a bonus session, but I will just quickly fill everyone in. We have not shared this on the podcast yet. We have not. But for everyone that came to our live show, thank you. Danielle and I quite literally risked our lives for it because I'm on a TV show right now. And so I'm having to go to set. And Danielle and I decided that we would get tested twice for Danielle, and I was getting tested every day, so 5 times that week.
Yeah.
So we felt pretty, and then Danielle wasn't seeing anybody besides me and her family that week. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, I am on set, but I'm getting tested every single day. I had 5 tests leading up to when we did our live show. Okay, so we made that choice. We did the show. We had a great time. We even had a laugh. Like if one of us has COVID, not that it's funny, but like we are.
Yeah, there's no way to avoid it.
We're sitting next to each other, singing and dancing. Well, there was an issue because someone on set that I had incredibly close contact with had it. Danielle and I both had to do a full quarantine over Christmas. We luckily got out by the skin of our fucking teeth. We got our last test Christmas Eve, late afternoon. Mm-hmm. And we even kind of cut it a little close, but not really.
Yeah.
By then, that had been 12 days at Christmas Eve. And so we allowed ourselves to be with our children for Christmas, but it was quite a situation.
It was when Casey had to call me and she's like, look, I've got some news. I think I just laughed because I have a real gallows humor. And I also knew that, like, it wasn't Kate. Like, this is like, I took the risk, you know, but that's what, even with all the precautions in the world, we took a risk and we, you know, could have paid for it. And we failed.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
don't even take a risk. Don't even if you think that you've tested 10,000 times, like, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And it was scary. And everyone's like, oh, you must have like loved getting away from your kids. And we're like, well, we're basically just waiting for COVID, I would say. And we got so fucking lucky.
Yeah, we did.
Again, I think I had it. So maybe
months ago, you mean?
Months ago. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So who knows? But
yeah, so I did not have sex with him during that week and a half that I was quarantined.
I bet you did, like through a hole in the wall.
Fucking glory hole.
Yeah, mail slot. I wouldn't be surprised.
But yeah, so the answer to your question is I'm horny, Casey.
So are we going to be looking at something happening tonight?
Yeah, if we wait till that long. My daughter is in Zoom school right now. We could just take a
Danielle, are you joking?
Yes, I'm joking. We're not going to do it while she's in Zoom school. But
no, I didn't care about that. Oh, God, I wasn't judging that. I was just like, wow, it's 1:30 p.m. on a Thursday. God bless you, Danielle. So you're still really, really enjoying it.
Yeah.
After 20 years.
Yeah, but there are weeks when I am not. Don't get me wrong.
No, but I'm saying when you're actually in it, you're like, I'm loving this.
Yes.
Yes.
Simply.
Again, I'm loving it too. I just feel so tired all the time.
Well, I get it. Again, I don't
just feel so
Bridgerton of it all.
But every time I'm like, why aren't I doing this more? I love this. It's just so hard to get there.
Well, you have 2 kids. I mean, when you have kids and you're in the middle of but we're in the middle of a global pandemic. Believe me, there are weeks, there are months when that's the last thing I want to do.
Wow. Well, Danielle, you are inspiring. I think you're inspiring all of us right now. You're giving me a real swift kick in the tush.
Thank you. I would like to get in there. Please report back tomorrow morning. Now, I am good friends with your husband too, so I have to also just kind of picture him as your husband and not my good friend. I don't know why, but that's tough to picture. Yeah. No, well, you're my good friend, obviously, one of my closest. So.
What do you imagine is happening in our sex life?
I think you guys are sexual, sensual people.
Really? That's nice.
I think you especially are a sexual, sensual person, for sure.
Wow. Well, I'm a Scorpio.
Yes, exactly. I think you're wild.
And I think that Italian kind of it all.
And I think you are a lover of sex. I think you love sex.
I do. And what I'll say is I'm not afraid to try anything except, one thing.
I know you won't do that thing.
I'm like meatloaf, but I won't do that.
I thought you said you just won't eat meatloaf or do this.
Well, it's the same. Wow, Danielle, what an opener. And thank you for sharing that.
Should we bring out our very sexy guest
And by bring him out, we mean we'll put him on because we've already, as we've shared, spoken to him.
He is a very good actor. But he's a sexy man too.
And we didn't. It's hard to say that to someone on a Zoom,
but he's
to their face.
Is he single?
Yes. Ooh. 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 He's very sexy. But no, when I first met him, I was like, okay, wow.
Yeah.
But then he started up with my roommate at the theater camp we were at, so that was off the table.
Tough.
That's okay. I got sloppy seconds from my other roommate, the guy that she had sex with, and told me he was, quote, terrible in bed. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I did.
And you did.
And I did.
And you did.
She was right. And she was right.
Well, this guy, he's good looking. And he's so funny. He's a regular guest. We've had him a few times on the podcast. He always delivers.
Yep. Well, let's take a break. Oh, before we take our break, Danielle, we have some news that we want to share for our Bitch Sesh listeners. As you guys know, Danielle and I are members of the Jane Club, which June Diane Raphael started. And it's just so amazing. We love it so much. It's a gathering place for women virtually right now for such amazing things. And they are having a retreat, Danielle.
Yes. I'm very excited about it.
A virtual kind of a retreat this coming Saturday and Sunday. So when you're listening to this tomorrow, And it's going to be a kind of New Year's renaissance where you can set goals for yourself. There's going to be incredible speakers, and it's called New Year, New Jane, January 16th and 17th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific, both days. June writes us, we need to attack 2021 with everything we've got. We're taking a hard stare at our lives, from money, career, activism, to our bodies, mind, relationships. I mean, I guess our sex lives too, Danielle.
Even
gathering
can always get better.
Can always get better. Gathering inspiration from speakers we will absorb, write, share, and get ready to make 2021 the best it can be. And virtual childcare is provided as well. Kind of simultaneously, kids programming on a second screen, free of cost. June Diane Rafe will be one of the speakers. So will Ziwe, who's done our podcast, who's incredible. They have so many wonderful speakers. And the best part is Bitch Sesh is giving away 10 free tickets to this. Just go to janeclub.com/New Year, New Jane. Important to note, new, then there's a dash, new dash year dash new dash Jane. janeclub.com/new dash year dash new dash Jane. First 10 listeners use the code BITCH10X. You'll get a free ticket, and you can also buy tickets. Code BITCH10X, all in caps.
I will be there, and I hope I see some of you guys.
All right, let's take a break, and we'll bring out Paul. We're back.
Yes, we are, with a guest that I'm very excited about. He's been on the podcast before, but...
And he graced us with a bonus session, which, I mean, and he has some very straightforward yet often explosive viewpoints that he stands behind very, very strongly. And he will get me on his side quicker than a lot of other guests.
We'll do 180s with this guest. We'll be like, this is how I feel. And then he'll say the opposite. And we're like, no, that's how I feel.
Exactly. Please welcome my dear friend, the actor, just so talented, lovely, funny, opinionated, and concerning the Housewives guest, Paul James.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Paul.
What an introduction. It feels so nice to be talked about nicely during the pandemic. It really touched me deep. I was like, oh, guys, thanks.
When we can't have physical touching someone's heart is the next best thing, I think, in these times.
We only have words, really, right now. And there's power in them.
That's all we've got. That's all.
We have. Yes, exactly. Paul, take us through right now. We're going to start with Salt Lake. Okay. Where are you?
Wow.
Salt Lake.
I like Salt Lake, and I feel like the episode this week was a big episode, actually. And it kind of spun out of like a shitty fight, like one of the clumsiest entries into Housewives melee. Poor Whitney, like it was like watching like a dorky guy hit on a hot girl, and it just wasn't going well. And she just kept trying, and it was so sad, but so much came out of it. There's factions now. There's like a whole class thing that was boiling, but now is like bubbling under. And Meredith and Lisa are like, are they like richer than the other two?
I had that same feeling in the sense that we are watching sometimes three different shows.
Right.
Where Mary
they have
is
siloed. They've siloed Mary.
Mary's in her own show.
That. In no other franchise, we've got problem people. Danielle Staub still showed up at people's weddings, and at certain times was a bridesmaid. What the fuck? Where is Mary? Why aren't their producers forcing her to be in the Botox shop, forcing her to be in that bathtub? She should have been everywhere.
I want Mary, or I don't want, I need to see, because Mary, again, she's great by herself and with her cousin housekeeper.
And her grandfather husband, yes.
And her grandfather husband.
It's a family affair. It's a family affair.
Everything is a family affair.
Truly.
Truly. But to not have her with the others to bring out
you guys,
the best in all these women.
I think I'm okay with her being by herself. Mary is so crazy.
Those clothes?
She is so crazy. She makes me so uncomfortable. Like her shifty eyes, you know what I mean? And her she's got who's that actress? Who's in Paddington? The English actress who's like Sally Hawkins. You know how Sally Hawkins has she's got really
Interesting.
tense energy, her characters do? Like, that's Mary all the time. You know what I mean?
Well, someone said about Mary's
Wow.
eyes, and I can't
Whew.
remember, guys, because
Those
people send me
eyes.
so many great things. But like Ramona's eyes walked, so Mary's eyes could run.
That's true.
Stop.
That's-
That's so funny.
Something to
Like,
that effect.
I don't understand how Mary raised a kid. Like, I don't understand how
And he seems very
he
nice.
seems normal
lovely.
and nice. She just feels really off, and I feel like having her apart from the women might be like, she's great with her clothes.
best.
She's great just talking about her life and being kooky. And
Yeah, like she's doing like a one-woman show.
Which I would pay good money
Yes,
to
they're
see.
like, okay, Mary, you will sit there with a phone and do monologue work over here. And she's still causing drama though. And that's what I
Yes.
respect about her. She can't even get to the women, and
No.
yet she's responsible for a knockdown, drag-out fight at someone's surprise party. So I have to tip my Gucci hat to her.
yeah,
It makes me sad when she says, clothes are my armor.
Yes. Well, they're her only friend.
everything makes me sad about Mary. Every single
Right.
thing about
I know.
her.
I think I take too much joy in her.
You guys have been raving about her. I mean, the whole thing, like when they show her congregation, it's like, oh, who are these
That's
people?
tough.
You know?
Right.
No, you're right.
I told you Paul would have opinions that
We would
when
turn
you
around.
hear them, they can't help but seem right.
I feel
They
like
seem very reasonable.
it moves
yeah, like
along.
she's exploiting people.
Right. It's like it's oiled. It's moving really nicely. And whenever she comes around the other women, it's like the gears stop. Everything gets
Mhm.
weird and crazy and shifty-eyed, and
Yeah.
Jen goes crazy.
That's what I like.
And,
That's what I like.
and,
That's what
and,
you want.
and Paul and Paul, I now feel that too. Because you're right. And you've always been right. And she has a Blanche Dubois energy too to me. It's just very like out of reality. And
Or
here's the closer, the kind of scarf that goes over the lamp.
For a second, I thought you meant Blanche Devereaux from Golden Girls.
Oh, Blanche
Hmm.
Devereaux.
In the way that she voraciously had sex with her grandpa, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, Whitney. She's so very dim,
Mm-hmm.
but also not. Why on God's green earth did she think that was okay and then was wrong and strong about it after? She was like, I don't know what I did. I was trying to help you.
And then made the mistake of taking them all 2 hours away to sit in a bathtub in the desert. It was
with like dirty trash cans.
Yeah, it was the old spa in the junkyard trick. It was that old thing. And Jen said it was
Oldest one in the
oldest
book.
one. Jen was like, it's 3.5 hours away. That's what she said. I mean, that's crazy.
That's insane.
to go sit in dirty water outside. Like,
When they
I-
could have just gotten filler at Heather's workplace 2 blocks away.
Yeah, I just think she is like the clumsiest person to play the game. She just like she tried to merge on the highway and she didn't merge. She just drove on, traffic stopped. The whole party is looking at her.
Right, like she's the one that's driving too slow on the
Right,
highway.
and it's not
almost.
coming out right. So then Heather, God bless Heather, she's a saint, comes in to try to save it and then
Mhm.
absolves blame that never should have been going to her at all.
Ever.
Mhm.
Guys, when Heather was crying and she revealed that she felt her friendship, that Jen Shaw would abandon her, I have felt that with friends. And it's a really scary feeling that I think, comes from some trauma and abandonment and where you build up friends as your everything. And it does feel like if they were to turn on you, there would be a death. It's a very weird place to live and it's unhealthy, but I feel for Heather.
Yeah.
Yeah, where do you come down on Heather, Paul? I'm curious.
I think Heather's everyman. I mean, when you guys talk about roles for women, like if you had to play Heather, I think you're playing one of the greatest roles like on stage. I think she's powerful. I think she's one of those women that looks better thicker. Like they show pictures in the past.
Preach.
And like her face didn't look, and her husband looks like an old toe, and she's like sad.
You're so right, Paul.
You're like, all this buildup
Old
for
toe.
this is what you've lost all your confidence for this dude,
For this.
you know?
And that is religious indoctrination at a young age.
Yeah.
And
Now, where do we all come down on Jen this episode? Because we really got somewhere with her and her husband.
With Sharif.
With Sharif.
I love Sharif.
God bless him. God bless him.
Me too.
He's doing the Lord's work over there.
He's putting up with a lot.
In that rented cabin.
The way he looks at her, like, and he knows she's crazy, but the way he looks at her and talks to her, it's like, that's all you want in life, you know? That's all we're looking for.
He really does seem to love her, right, Paul?
Yeah, he loves her. He loves her. And it's interesting because, you know, he's a coach, right? But because he's a college coach, he's got to recruit. So he's always on the road. Like he probably has like one section of the country that he has to go to every weekend, watch football games, meet guys, come back and do his coaching work. So he's never around. You know?
I didn't like that he didn't talk to her for a few days. I don't enjoy the silence.
I did.
You did? Why? You feel like that's the only way to get her attention?
I thought he was being measured. He's like, if I talk to you, I'll destroy our marriage. That's how angry I am by your behavior. You embarrass me. This was my big night. You can't let me fucking have one goddamn night with our family and friends have flown in. You're a mess. You drink too much. And I thought he kind of gave her a gift by not talking to her. And my husband's done that, which is just like, I'm going to destroy you if I talk to you. And he was punishing her, which is fine.
I can't handle that, though. Like, I personally was triggered by that because
neither could Jen.
Because if someone's like, I am not talking to you, so I save our marriage or whatever, or save our friendship, I'm like, no, let's go down in flames then. I need you to address me at all times.
See, that's really interesting.
I cannot stand
what if your partner is someone that's the opposite? It's like where you need to talk about it because you don't want to go to sleep mad, but your partner can't talk about it because they'll say something so that they regret. Like, how do...
Then I will burn the house
Right,
down.
right. I think you gotta treat Jen with a real... you gotta treat her with a real strong, like... You've got to handle her. She needs to be handled. Like she's a lot of woman. She's a lot of personality. She's bursting out in every way possible. And I think Sharif just had to
he has to corral her and forgive me for not knowing the football terms, you know, but when they kind of, what is it? They got to, get in front of a couple guys got to come in and and they got to keep her.
He's got to cover.
You know what I mean, guys?
Yeah.
Because she's wily and she'll slip right on through.
But those were some big issues she brought up. Like, I thought, those were some heavy issues that I get. I feel like I understand Jen, you know?
I know. I felt for her.
I'm in this phase of the pandemic where I'm watching lots of cartoons because I need something real easy. Cartoons and Housewives.
Yeah.
And
it goes down real smooth.
I was watching this Batman cartoon where they were talking about where Two-Face, the villain, comes out, you know? And essentially he's got personality disorder where it's like, Harvey Dent, the district attorney, and then Big Bad Harv. And I feel like Jen's got that personality where it's like Big Bad Jen, and it comes out. And she's crazy, and she sees red. Like, Casey, you know that, the anger thing. You've got that rage.
Yes, I do, Paul.
You know?
Yes, I do, Paul.
I don't even think it's...
Paul, you seem to have experience with it.
Paul knows more than anyone. He's seen it up close.
I've seen it.
I've seen it. But I don't think it... At first, I thought it was for the cameras, and now I think she's just really, angry.
And she takes no responsibility for it because she does say, she's basically like, when you did this, because if you tell me something I don't want to hear and I blow up, you've ruined my husband's party.
Right.
Not me. You've ruined it.
But Whitney did ruin the party. And that's what I want to really make very clear.
No, she didn't. Jen did.
No, Whitney, that was a 50 because she does know. It's like, would I go up to you at your wedding and start something? She knows Jen cannot keep it together. So as a friend, it's like, you don't do that.
But let's be real.
Whitney is, and I know we say people are wrong time, wrong place. She's wrong time, wrong place.
But it wasn't that big of a deal what she told Jen. It was not a big deal. It was so innocuous and minor and
that they're scared of her.
Right.
It's
not great.
She could brush it off and be like, we'll talk about it tomorrow. She throws the glass. She's got to take some responsibility.
Guys, we know this woman. I mean, this woman splashed the camera. We know.
Well, that's what you get when you put me in a tub.
When they panned out or whatever and we saw how close the camera crew was, my jaw dropped on the ground.
Yeah. They were filming their crotches underwater.
Yeah, it was rub-a-dub-dub, 8 cameramen in it.
And then she just
yeah, the best is she's like, that's why that's why everything you're right is someone else's fault. I mean, that camera cost more than Jen's salary on that show.
That was so unnecessary. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I really liked how Heather pulled an ace out of her back pocket, put all the attention on her. There's no way Jen can be mad anymore. She took it all on. It was a wonderful move.
Yes. And made it about actually how much she loves Jen.
Yeah. It's the best way to get Jen back on her side.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like Heather should have to do that with Jen.
No, she shouldn't.
Jen?
No.
And I think more trouble's coming between them. And by think, I mean I saw it in the upcoming
in the preview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these women, I really did want Sharif to have that party. So when Whitney's like, sorry, I'm like, no, that's a once in a lifetime party. I don't know why I'm so stuck on the party.
You really
It was
are.
really nice.
Now, we did find out that one of the stars of last week's episode, Miss I Can't Cut an Apple, Miss Here's a mat that I deign to give to my quote-unquote maids. I can't even remember what this dum-dum's name was, but she was at
the rally.
She was at the siege.
I mean, the rally.
She was at the coup.
She stormed the Capitol.
She stormed
and was responsible,
Right.
some would say personally, for getting the president impeached a second time. That piece of shit. I mean, we haven't had a crossover like this.
No, that was a shock. I mean, not a shock.
It wasn't a shock, but it was a shock.
But it came. I was just like, wait, what? This dum-dum's there? Like this is the kind of people that are storming the castle. Like it was so. It was a shock to just find out that our worlds crossed in that way, and
it wasn't from Orange County, it was from
right.
Well, this woman supposedly is
Dallas.
Yeah. This woman is supposedly a big QAnon conspiracy.
Jesus.
I know.
That's tough.
Oh God. So I don't need to see her dum-dum again.
And Whitney made a very bold statement on Instagram, and she said, I did not support this. The Capitol.
She literally had to come say, I was not at the rally. But if I was, I would have told people that everybody's afraid of you.
That's like her best
that rally.
That's like her best friend, though.
Maybe that would have broken up everything.
Wouldn't that have been? She could have used her terrible timing in support of not storming the Capitol.
The best part about Whitney is, Whitney's just, it's funny. She's just her husband and her, the reason that, them getting remarried, they got kicked out of Mormonism or something like that. And it's the Latter-day Saints were not going to be able to hold the freak that is Whitney in, it wasn't just the divorce. That girl.
I think you're right, Paul, though. Meredith and Lisa have kind of stepped out. Why the fuck are the producers allowing Lisa to have a dignified women's lunch in a yurt and not bring Mary? Where is Jen? Where's our gals to blow this up? I don't need to watch women sitting around supporting each other's businesses.
No, I don't need to see this. It's like two normal couples having a normal dinner.
Right.
What am I watching?
And they keep
could go out if I could go out myself.
And they keep acting it's interesting. Some of the things they said really were, I think they think they're above everybody else, and it's painful because I really
they don't think they know.
They know. They're in a
really
different class of women. And I really like Meredith. Meredith to me is really, Casey, have you guys ever noticed she's all shoulders and when she talks, it's all her head, whereas Lisa comes at you like this, her jaw, she's coming at you hard. I want to work more. No, I'm right. Business.
Can barely
Meredith's
be bothered.
Yeah, she's
Meredith can barely get out of bed.
Right.
It feels like she's just
in bed. I think she's real. I think she's real sensual. I think she's a real sexual beast.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think that's why he's coming back time and time again.
He can't get rid. I mean, that's the best he's ever had.
Oh, yeah. And I was attracted to him in his outfit at the dinner, but that hoodie and jacket, I was. But I don't know. I don't love a Meredith in life, that person who's kind of cold. It's just not my thing. Someone who does feel like they're better than you. It kind of throws me off my axis. I go immediately into low vibrations, like a Heather. And that's my problem. I prefer Lisa, at least to me, is bringing some fun and energy to the proceedings. I think.
Really?
Am I wrong? You guys are
no
looking at me.
I like Lisa.
It's just neither of them are giving me what I need.
They're both one whole person. And maybe that's why we have them. It's they look alike. So together they're one?
Yeah, I don't need both of them. I don't. I think I would choose Meredith over Lisa if I had to choose.
Yeah.
Well, let's not get too hasty. I mean, this show is working, guys.
I wouldn't be surprised if they both are gone for the second season. Like if they take their talents elsewhere and,
What talent? What talent, Paul?
And where, Paul?
Where are they gonna go?
It was LeBron.
Where's that where?
It's a LeBron James joke when he left Cleveland. He was like, I'm taking my talents to
But
Miami.
he had talent. But he had talent.
They're gonna they're gonna join their
another place to go.
Rich lady circle, like in the yurt.
Yeah. I don't think Meredith has a lot of friends. A lot of female friends, especially. And so I do think that's what she's getting out of Lisa. I do think Lisa's like an includer, like a bring everyone together kind of person. Not in the way Heather is, but. And I am all set seeing more renovations on Heather's business.
Yes, I don't need to see that. I didn't know that Heather was not taking a salary up until now.
That was shocking.
What'd you call him? A toe of a person?
He looked like an old toe. Like he walked in and he looked like an old toe.
It's my favorite description ever. But that he has been supporting her through his father's driver money.
His father's connection to Howard Hughes.
That was weird, right?
His connection to Howard Hughes.
That's
money.
The weirdest way to get money. That's the weirdest way to become rich, if that's how they became rich.
It's the weirdest possible way.
It's so strange.
Well, anything else for Salt Lake? I mean, I continue to enjoy it. I really do. I sit down and I have myself a big old time.
Yeah, I think it's the kind of like the best. It feels like season 2 of a show, doesn't it? It doesn't feel like the first season.
Yes, they came in swinging.
They're
swinging.
Yep. Yes. Absolutely. They are rolling. All right. Should we take a quick break and come back with Atlanta?
Yes, please.
We're back.
Atlanta. What a week. In the sense that we were privileged to view one of the oddest engagement parties that we've ever experienced. We've had a lot of engagement parties. It was so odd.
I mean, it had some obstacles right out of the gate. But now Kenya, who planned it and thinks of herself as a party planner and really believes that Cynthia, you can tell she really can't believe Cynthia hasn't turned over the reins of her wedding to her. And Kenya, it's hard to plan a party in COVID, especially when you don't even ask if people have been tested until 5 minutes before. Mm-hmm. She's like, wait, have people been tested? And the party planner says yes. And she goes, that's good.
I didn't believe the party planner, by the way.
No, I don't think a person was tested. But also to throw a party that you have to have somebody else throw because nobody likes you enough to come to the party. So you have to do it. You have to ask somebody else to throw it in their name. So that
what an ask
is a weird way to start.
You're right, Danielle. What self-awareness for Kenya to think, God, I got to make sure this invite comes from Candy. Or no one will show up.
And she didn't miss a beat. She was just like, that's what I got to do to get it done. All right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Kenya's going to get it done. I mean, poorly, but she will. I did think it looked very nice, this white party engagement party.
But like so many of Kenya's parties, I feel like it's so empty and so just void of.
So empty.
You're right.
There's never been that's the funny thing when you're comparing it even to Salt Lake, right? Where every party is full of people. This had a couple at the end that they never introduced. There was 8 people at the table, 2 people we didn't know. They didn't introduce them, but we kept seeing them. It was bizarre.
And Todd Tucker's watching a sporting event.
He's watching during it. They're using a microphone for, once again, 8 people,
Yeah. Look, I mean, guys, it's hard to have a packed party in a pandemic, but it seems like you guys don't care about that. You rather they still
No, I'm just saying, know what's happening. They hire a band for these 8 people, a live band. There's not much dancing going on with this live band.
Well, in case anyone didn't see it, we do have to just describe what happened. So Kenya tells Candy to invite everyone to what they believe is an appearance by Joe Biden. And I can they think they're attending an event and they need to be on time because Joe Biden has flown in his private plane. Now, look, I can see a world in which maybe the producers and Joe Biden felt like I want to mix and mingle on TV. Maybe he not specifically for Atlanta, but maybe there is an event. The girls are going to get a photo with him. So they're very excited.
Wait.
Especially Cynthia.
Wait, stop for a second. You think that Joe Biden is going to actually take time out to take a photo with someone with the Real House? I mean, I don't know. I don't think that would ever happen.
I respect it.
Maybe New York.
Okay. Look, hey, Georgia's an important state, guys. And I think we know that.
You're right.
And the Real Housewives are important. They're a cultural touchstone. I said to Casey before the last election when Hillary was running, I said to her, we were talking about who can we get on the podcast? I said, I said, we can get Hillary or Michelle. Casey looked at me.
We were making a list.
Wow.
I said, we can't get Chrissy Teigen. We've reached out a million times.
You've got the Michelle connection, don't you? Oh, no, you've got what's the connection you have, Casey, from the, you have Kamala. You've got.
My Kamala's husband.
Yeah, Kamala.
You have
my connection, Paul. You mean when I took my Alaska Airlines flight?
Right.
Next to Doug.
While I sat and coached, and Casey had passed me back magazines.
But not too many magazines because I was chatting.
No, you were chatting the whole time. Usually you come back and visit more, and I got no visits. I was like,
what's
are you doing up there?
Who's up there? Who is that?
Casey's just closing
Take
the
off
curtain.
to landing. Take off to landing. We didn't let up 6 hours. He's a very nice person.
So anyway, I understand why they thought that he could be stopping by. And I love that the thought, because as we all know, any of the housewife cities, no one comes on time. Some cities are later than others. But in Atlanta, we know people have trouble getting there on time, some of them. And so they had to be told that Joe Biden was coming in order to make it on time. And guess who still did not make it on time?
Many.
Portia.
Portia
didn't make it. Portia was like an hour.
Portia was the latest.
Latoya was late.
Marlo came in and said, all the way to the boonies for a damn snowman. Did you hear that line?
No. What was really tough is that 3 women were there. Of course, Tanya is there, of course.
Tanya's
she's always
there.
the gold star student. There's Tanya,
Canadian.
Candy,
who's throwing the party by proxy.
Right.
And Kenya. And then immediately our next guests are, unfortunately, our guests of honor.
No, they were not ready. They didn't have somebody they're coming up the way. At least
she's texting me. Nothing.
At least at Sharif's party, it seemed to be there were people on every stop. We knew when he was coming. What's going to happen? Again, one of them's during COVID, one of them's not. But you can't have someone sort of spotting their car or her texting somebody that's saying they're on
they were sprinkling more fake snow on the table. And Candy's face, I died. They played it so many times when she looked up and saw that Cynthia had entered and they were just crowded around the table. And Cynthia and Mike, they couldn't even put together that it was a party for them for a very long time because they couldn't imagine. And then they were disappointed that Joe wasn't there.
I would be disappointed too.
Me too.
I felt Cynthia felt wow, God, I wanted a bigger engagement party and I keep wanting bigger things and Mike won't let me. And now Mike's really not going to let me have another one because we had this one. But I do think she ended up having a very nice time.
Yeah, I think she had a good time, man.
Paul, we talk about, in acting, you have an intention with a scene. And that's just what you're going for the entire time. And I felt Kenya's overall arching intention was to be asked to be a bridesmaid.
Yes.
And she got that.
I think that is a top 5 moment in her life. Hands down, being Cynthia's bridesmaid.
Yes.
Where I think Candy's probably been a bridesmaid many times before.
1,000 times.
Right.
Candy looked upset.
She
Candy was I got to buy a dress.
The whole day.
Candy's I have so much fucking going on.
Do you think, and I'm going to venture to say that this is true, that Kenya has never been asked to be a bridesmaid before?
No, I don't think ever. Never.
I don't think so either.
Well, she's a very selfish friend.
Yeah, I don't know that she has close friends. I feel in her friendship with Cynthia, we've seen that it's not easy for her to be a friend. It doesn't come natural to her. No. She wants to be, but she's a fighter, so she's always just fucking jabbing.
Yeah, yes. She can't help it. And she also has so much anger over the things that going on in her life that when she sees happiness in other people's lives, she feels the need to tear them down. But And I think it's a defense mechanism because I think she wants to be happy for people. But I think she's so damaged and so has so much anger and
I
trauma.
think that's why Portia in particular tweaks her. Portia's a light. She just is. Well. And so people like her. People are naturally drawn to her. You know, everything that kind of happens with Portia, it's easy for her, I feel. You know, her life, it just kind of rolls along because people like her. She's like magnetic. And Kenya feels like she has to muscle everything.
Portia bounces back fast, too. Like, Portia's been through some shit, too. She's been through a marriage that was terrible to a very, I think, destructive man. Yeah. And she's been cheated on. And, she's had some tough troubles, too. I'm not her.
She lost her dad young, too. Kind of like, around the same age, Casey, that you and I lost our parents. You know, like it's a you have them for growing up, but then you lose them when you need to be an adult. And that can be really difficult. I also wonder if, I feel like for a while, Kenya came in, right? Nene was always kind of like the star, right? Kenya comes in causing craziness. And now she's kind of one of the other tent poles, but Portia's risen and now is past Kenya. Like the time Kenya took off, she lost the show. And now it's more Portia's show. Portia's the light. She's the funny one. She's like one of the centers that everything is spinning around. And I don't think Kenya's happy about it.
No. Now, Kenya is happy about a new friendship that's budding between her and LaToya. When we found out this week that Kenya sent a nude, I don't think we've seen a lot of nudes being sent woman to woman. Again, Kenya's sexuality, anyone's can be fluid, of course. Right. We haven't seen this behavior from Kenya. And Kenya, the way she lights up around Toya, and again, sending nudes, what's going on there?
Well, we also have Toya using Kenya's nude as her screensaver and then showing it around at engagement party, at this tiny... empty engagement party.
When they did like their confessionals of like Marlo and Candy and everyone being like, that's weird. That's some weird shit, That was pretty funny. I don't know. I don't know why she decided, or maybe they had filmed before we saw them, but she instantly decided that she likes Toya and instantly hates Drew. You know what I mean? And there doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason for why that is.
I think Toya is fun. And I think she's got an edge, and I think she's trouble, a little much like Kenya. And I do think Toya just really does seem to think Kenya is incredibly beautiful and gives her that attention that I don't think Kenya is used to getting. And anyone that puts Kenya like in the center of attention, she loves. But do you think they're going to hook up? Is that where we're headed?
I hope so. Otherwise it's like, otherwise what are we doing? Otherwise it's just like, yeah, I hope
it's just for show. I don't need things for show.
No,
I want the truth.
I want the true truth.
I feel like this is for show.
Are they the ones that hook up? Because remember, we hear it in the trades and the news that there is a bachelorette party where two of the women hook up with a stripper or something.
I think that's Portia and Tanya, right? That's what I think. I think it's supposed to be Portia and Tanya. And then Tanya stops filming.
Tanya's a little freak.
Yeah, I feel like after it happened, Tanya
does?
She was like, peace. Like, I think, I don't know. That's what I thought was happening.
Interesting.
And they're like, okay, we're good, Tanya. Thank you. Wow. No, I like Tanya.
I do too. I've come around on Tanya.
I do too.
Me too.
I really come around on her.
And it was interesting at the intimate dinner party again with like two of their husbands and fiancés for Kenya to go around and say that she wanted to have sex with three of the women there. It made me laugh so hard. And she turned to Portia and pointed at her and she goes, "Not you." She said, and then she's like, Candy, obviously. And then Cynthia, when she was talking about Cynthia's lips, it was just odd. I was like, Kenya is normally not this drunk, but I liked it.
I think she's horned up. She's obviously she's not getting it from Mark Daly right now. She's in a pandemic. Like we're all.
Right. We're turning to who we can be around.
Mm-hmm. And so it's the people that are among us. And so she's like, okay, this is the people I'm seeing right now. You three. Let's hop on and get it done. I did cry twice in this episode.
Me too.
And the first time I cried was when Riley, who we have watched grow up, went off to. I cried. That really.
I hate Riley.
You hate Riley?
when I say I don't like her, it's not that deep or harsh, but there's something so uncomfortable about her. Kind of like what you said about Mary. There's a pain there, an anxiety or something that I just have a hard time watching.
Yeah.
I think she's always been such a shy, sweet girl. And for me to watch her blossom into a woman, like I feel like she got into NYU, which I think we know is a very hard,
wonderful school.
And
Hard to get
school.
into.
Really, only they take the best of the best.
Creme de la creme.
The creme de la creme. And so watching her get in there was...
Okay, I feel really bad I said I don't like her. That's not true.
You shouldn't say you don't like her. I feel like she's not. I feel like
you're right.
I feel like it was hard for her to grow up with Candy as a mom, just because they're so different, and Candy is so out there and confident and all these things, and Riley has had to find her way there. I don't know the girl. This could be bullshit, but.
No, but they're both teaching each other something. There's some like contract from the universe.
Candy had her younger with a husband, or I don't know that they were married. I can't remember, with Block.
Right.
Who wasn't there for her in any way, wasn't there for either of them. So she had it harder. And I think when Candy was coming up, when she was younger, they didn't have the money that Candy wasn't a superstar like she is now. So like I think she was still successful. She was a singer and she was an actress and stuff and a songwriter, but not the success that she has now that she's having other kids. Like where those kids are growing up with like all this wealth, where Riley grew up, I think, just a little more normal.
Oh, right, guys. I love Riley.
I don't, but wasn't it funny? I mean, one of the things I appreciate about Riley and Candy is like, I like seeing Black kids being so spoiled rotten where you kind of instantly want to hate them. Like I like that we get that now too. It feels like equality in a way where it's like she doesn't know how to clean. Like what's happening? And
she won't wash her car.
She can't wash her car, and I wonder.
Oh yeah,
too,
that Riley wouldn't. I love that Ace was washing herself. He's like, she's not going to know how to clean anything. Oh, I was crying.
We have to protect Ace at all costs.
Help her clean.
He was so.
I love Ace. I've seen him in person.
Really? When you went to?
Yes, I went to the Old Lady Gang, and he was shockingly he was, no joke, the maitre d'.
That family is like everybody's working. We got the aunts, the grandmas. Yes. Get out there.
He was like 2 at the time, and he was like up at the front.
I love him.
Everybody's working except for Riley. Can you cut that?
That's right. Cut. And Todd. To me, Ace is the cutest kid we have in the whole universe.
All the housewives.
Yeah.
And he was like, he was having his moment and looking at the cameras, like it's still like, he doesn't know not to look there. So he's like crying.
Oh, he doesn't know life beyond camera.
And he's like,
never not been on camera.
That man's looking at me cry. It was so real and touching.
He's a little sweetheart. I cried big time when Portia was with her mom and sister talking about her dad. I was just like, when she broke down in tears. Oh,
yeah, that was tough. What an interesting relationship. I don't think I ever knew that Lauren and Portia were half sisters. I thought they were. I didn't either. I thought that was her mom the whole time.
Me too. Which is kind of beautiful the way they all hang out. I love Portia's mom.
Me too.
Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah. That was a really nice moment. It's actually, with Nene being gone, there's less fighting. And so, Atlanta has less than some of the other ones. But if you get like the real moments like that, if you get the pain somebody brings up, like I like watching that too. I like watching the pain, but like the real moments,
Yeah. And the real moments of siblings confronting the fact, it's going to make me cry, that one of them got more from a parent than the other, and that they had not even more, but the different experiences. And so when a parent is lost, you automatically think you didn't get, or you're mourning almost what you didn't get, and then to see a sibling got it. But it wasn't contentious. I thought it was really beautiful, and it made me feel like sorrow.
And that's what I love about the women of Atlanta, is because there doesn't have to be fighting, drama, anything shocking happening for me to be interested in them. They're all just so interesting on their own that watching them live, as opposed to like Meredith and Jen, like I don't know that I need to like.
They're not bringing texture.
Yeah, I don't need to watch them live.
Right.
I need them to be in situations where someone like Portia, I can just watch her live And I'm happy to
Just
do that.
listening to her run about why she decided to, quote, open her legs to Dennis, I died.
In front of her mother.
In front of her
lifting
mom.
her leg. Oh, you don't have kids. You have your own business. Just opening her leg.
Opening her legs further and further to demonstrate how her baby came into the world is amazing.
And Lauren bringing the competitor hot dogs.
Oh, bring in the varsity, which I have tried and is delicious.
I love the varsity. It's amazing.
My favorite living in Atlanta.
So great. One more thing. I remember the one random line reading that I really appreciated, the Cynthia, where she was like, Kenya was talking about something about like, I'll send it by pigeon. And Cynthia was like, not by pigeon. Ooh. Did you catch that line reading?
Ooh. Ooh. You know what you're making me think of the greatest was, God, Sheree gave us so many moments, which was, ooh, ooh,
Yeah.
Oh, you remember that?
ooh, ooh. Oh, man.
The greatest
Anything
laugh
else
in
for
history.
Atlanta?
No,
Greatest.
no Drew this week, which was interesting. She's kind of a little bit on her own island too. I guess it's maybe it's the COVID. I'm actually kind of thankful for Drew. This is like the ultimate bit of shade and Froda, but I really enjoy I'm going to enjoy watching that terrible marriage fall apart. You know, like that will be that like she's not giving us drama, but like it's sad. But like if you're going to be on a TV show, you got to bring something. And if she's bringing like the dissolution of her marriage, like I'll watch that. You know, because that's bad. That's a bad relationship.
Right. So she's so
I'm
Paul.
just laughing because
Yeah,
plain speak of just like, and that's a terrible relationship.
It's a bad relationship.
And you feel at least she's bringing that to the table, and that's generous of her.
Like she's bearing her soul for us. She's not being fake.
Yeah.
Like she's bearing it all for us, and I appreciate that. Like I'll take that for a season.
Right. I will too. For one
Okay.
season.
One. You get one.
Just one. You get one. Okay. Should we take a quick break and come back with Dallas?
Please.
Guys, God damn it if I'm not loving Dallas this year. I was dreading turning it on. I'm like, am I in some Orange County world? Yes. Is the COVID protocols staggeringly frightening? Yes. But I'm laughing a lot, and Kameron is a star.
Yes. Yeah.
She's a fucking star.
Kameron is like she's got the Lucille Ball kind of thing going, doesn't she? She's got this like comedian.
Yes. And honestly, her court is Desi, you know?
I would say he has much less personality than a Desi.
And the dog is little Ricky. This is just a little 6-line scene that I feel they should do in acting classes. And it really made me laugh so hard. An exchange that took place between Tiffany, our new cast member, and Brandy at Stephanie's pool party. And who do you want to play, Paul? Tiffany or Brandy?
I'll play Tiffany. I like Tiffany.
Okay, this is a conversation that took place between Tiffany and Kameron at Stephanie's pool party. Just a brief exchange.
My conversation with Brandy was cathartic.
And what does that word mean?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm laughing. That's not very nice.
Oh, no, I have no problem asking what it means.
It means like a cleanse.
Okay. I love a spa. Okay. I love a spa. I love her. She's just unapologetically simple.
Yes, she's not afraid to not know something. She is not afraid to not know.
No. And to eat spaghetti and meatballs and just be so basic and simple.
For Tiffany to take these women for dim sum was bold.
At 10 a.m.
These women are not dim sum women. They are not triers of foods.
I do feel for Tiffany, though, because I feel like Tiffany's like, okay, I come from, I have a Chinese heritage and I'm here with all these like white Republicans possibly. And I'm going to, by hook or by crook, drag them into kind of confronting like that I am different than them. And I do feel for her. Like I really felt like there was a lot of emotion coming, but it was still mishandled. She's so dressed up.
I think she's very generous to the women to explain, to like sort of like this is my culture. You're going to indulge. She doesn't have to do that. She did with Brandy. I think she is generous.
How do you guys think she handled the exchange between Brandy with Brandy's video, making fun of Chinese people in their eyes?
It was perfect.
I thought she was amazing.
I thought it was perfect because, it's like it's interesting, right? They bring this Chinese cast member on after Brandy's made the comment. They got rid of Leanne, but they kept Brandy. You could have easily seen them getting rid of Brandy. The climate was happening. But by keeping her, we get to have the conversation. Like, we get to confront it, And I love how Brandy seemed like it was really heartfelt. And I love how she didn't let her off the hook. She was like, that's cool. Let me even tell you why it's so bad. Like, I know you feel bad because you're getting it from people, but let me tell you why it hurts me so deep. And I think it was a beautiful moment. And I love that we're seeing it not just in Atlanta. We're seeing what's happening with social justice and people speaking up, even on Dallas, with Carrie's kids too. It's interesting to see how it permeates through the whole country.
Mm-hmm. And I did think it was beautiful because, look, this is not me at all excusing these moments of ignorance. But I think for someone like Brandy, it did catch her so off guard because she has no concept of, the entrenched racism. And so then for her to feel suicidal over it, and then there to have this moment between the two of them where Tiffany got to say exactly how much it hurt her, and also kind of, I just felt it was like a cathartic moment for both of them.
Yeah.
As Tiffany said.
Yes, it was cathartic, like a spa.
I
also felt on the lighter end of Tiffany, and why she is such a fun cast member too, and why she's such a great addition to the show, is that she gave us everything we want in terms of housewives. She gave us a closet. She gave us some money. She gave us purses. She gave us outfits and jewelry.
A finger touchpad to get into her closet.
Although having a different apartment for your clothes, like Mary does in Salt Lake City, that's a bigger flex. Like, that's the biggest flex.
That's a bigger flex
in the whole entire world. But the thumbprint was pretty impressive.
And I don't think we've seen a literal underground wine cellar.
No,
in someone's home.
Yeah,
we have not. So Tiffany is giving us everything we want. And then when Stephanie was like, I think it's a little tacky to show off your purses, I was like, fuck you, bitch. This is exactly what I want. It's not tacky. She knows what she's doing, you dum-dum. Like, I was.
Yeah, Tiffany came in. She's a straight A student. She knows how to play. She's playing the game the best way possible. You know what I mean? Yep. She was. The funny thing about, the dim sum is, like, initially I was like, eat the fucking food. Like, you're on a TV show. Eat the fucking food. Yeah, like, I'm not going to eat chicken feet by myself, but if I'm on camera and I'm being paid, I'm going to eat the fucking, I can have a whole moment about how I don't like them. I can make a meal of that. But then, I'm thinking about all the things I would do. But then I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's pretty tough. Like, that's pretty tough. Like, and I was curious too about the toenails. When she said the toenails, I was like, I've always wondered, do chickens have toenails? Do you eat them? It was...
Cameron's little move of putting it under the table is I just got to move my purse.
Genius.
You see the fucking bowl down.
Such good stagecraft on Cameron's part.
Yes.
Wonderful stagecraft.
That was out of the Three Stooges.
Right.
It was a commedia dell'arte.
You know who I don't like? And last thing about Tiffany's I do love. She's come in and she's like, I'm taking over this show. Like, I am now the fulcrum. I am the focal point, which I really fucking respect.
And also, she's also, just like a great housewife, kind of unaware of her actions because she was bullying people to do, she was bullying Kameron the same way she was being bullied by Carrie. And she has no awareness of it. So that's how we want that.
Perfect housewife. Yes, that's
she
how we
really
want
is wonderfully perfect. Because, for instance, Wendy on Potomac, they share a similar thing, which is I'm coming in here with fucking degrees. I'm coming in here with a pedigree that a lot of you don't have. However, Wendy to me is much more normal. And so I'm appreciating Tiffany because she's got that little something else. Something's a little off in a wonderful way.
This is something that I've just thought of now that I'm going to say and pretend it's a theory, but I think anesthesiologists are a little bit crazy.
Ooh, are they? What's the
Now,
theory behind that?
Casey, I know you have one on like the Rolodex, but
you have on speed dial.
I just
Casey.
feel like
And I find them very nice.
if you're putting people to sleep, like if you have that much power and you're just playing with those gases and chemicals, I feel like it makes you a little bit, I don't know.
Like you're playing God?
Yeah, there's probably a little, it just makes you a
Wow.
little kooky. You're probably like a certain personality that can do that.
Well, you literally have people's life in your hands constantly because you turn up or down.
Right.
And I want to say to Carrie, don't make this woman take shots. She's literally administering anesthesia the next day. Like, what's wrong with you? Carrie's not, I don't like Carrie. I appreciate her as a mom, but I think she's just wildly judgmental and weird.
Man,
and like,
the
I just don't need her personally.
She was like shooting bullets at Deandra the whole, like every 5 minutes. Bam! Just like right in the chest. And Deandra.
But using the same bullet. Reloading the same fucking bullet. I was like, at least give me something new. Like your insults are boring me.
And it's
like,
pretty fucking tough to come to find out that Deandra is hospitalized for COVID like a month ago. So I want to know what the fuck Carrie made of that.
And also,
And you know she's like, she didn't need to be hospitalized.
also Deandra had SARS. Like that was a nugget that she dropped. So I feel like I'd be a hypochondriac if I had SARS too. I feel like I would be.
And if anything, I'm okay to see someone on this show worry about COVID.
Yes.
You know, we got these two slipping sliding together. We got this one flying to Florida. You know,
Speaking of,
why are you going to Florida?
speaking of,
I can't go to Florida to see my family.
Right.
Why are you going?
I wouldn't want to go to Florida.
people don't give a fuck and they're selfish.
I never want to go to Florida, but I don't know. That's my own issue.
Again, Danielle's.
I know. I'm sorry, Danielle. I
Oh, you don't have to.
okay.
It's like apologizing for a crazy aunt. You're like, I know
Right.
she's
It's like-
crazy. You don't need to apologize.
every election, I'm so let down by Florida that I'm kind of like,
Me too. You should have seen me. I was phone banking and text banking in fucking Florida. They still let me down.
Yeah, I did North Carolina. I will not be visiting North Carolina anytime soon. You guys really let me down. But I was going to say about Deandra, like, we have seen some charlatans on the Real Housewives series, but I think there has never been a charlatan as worse as Mutton Chop Darren.
That shaman
blowing in her nose. Is that? Now, I've never seen a shaman. I'm not against it, but Casey, I know that you do. Have you had someone blow up your nostril like that before?
I haven't. I actually have done so much. I haven't used a shaman, although it's like full of a cultural appropriation. And then you see this motherfucker with these like those are mutton chops. And when he said to Deandra, "This is the vehicle you've chosen for Deandra," meaning her body. What the hell was up with this guy? And then, okay, yes, go on, Pops.
No, well, then she says the thing of like, she's like, it's not, you shouldn't see a shaman in the Christian religion, but I mean, I have a brain or something like that. And God gave me, what did she say? God gave me something. I was like, God gave you Darren? Like, is that what God was telling you to do to see Darren? Because if that's what God's telling you, you should pray harder,
Yeah. And I don't care about Deandra's like side story with her brother. Like either show them or I'm good. But poor Deandra's entire life, her family, her legacy, everything is about money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as my therapist says, it's never about money. But for her, it's like every single fucking problem she has on both sides is fighting over money. It's like, sweetie, disengage from these people and make your own fucking money.
Yeah.
Also, again, I am not privy to what happened because she was an adult when this money matter went down too. She wasn't like a child that needed, couldn't make her way in the world. Also, like, why didn't you share the money with your brother? Again, I am not privy to what
she
happened.
doesn't have money and she has no career or job. So she had to keep
But he's her brother. He's her half sibling. So if this is both your fathers, then you split it down the fucking center. Like, if you want a relationship with that person, like, why not?
She was able to tell herself he left 2 wills and she's all about fucking money. And I don't think Deandra's a good person.
I think she's the worst. I think she's the worst person. And I think,
me too.
I think, and I wonder too, this is what I wonder because Deandra's like spoiled rich kid growing up. I wonder if like, this is a path that Riley could end up if she's not careful. You know what I mean? Like she could be.
No, let's not talk about Riley.
Not Riley, whom I love.
Not today, not Riley.
All right.
Can I say also that I think the most disturbing person in this show and this episode is one Jeremy, Deandra's husband, feeling her up during.
Boy, he got nasty. Didn't he? He said some two nasty things back to back, like last episode and this one.
Back to back. When he stroked the crotch of her bikini bottom,
said
which had a tiger on it, and I wish I was this tiger. He put his meaty paw on that strip of fabric. I was like, bleh.
So gross.
He's really leaning into his role of like, I'm the sexy house husband who gets shit done, and America thinks I'm so hot. I'm like, sweetie, I've never thought you were that hot.
He was in the military and a photographer for like a minute, and now he's just like lazing about in the house, and I have no patience for this man and his weird serial killer son.
Oh, I don't remember his serial killer son. Is his son a serial killer?
Don't you remember that son that lived with? He's not truly.
Oh, that's right.
Remember
they had that the first season. That's right.
Danielle, when you said that, I was like, yeah, that's probably right. I was like,
oh yeah, I remember that dude. Yeah, I remember that dude.
It was just his. Again, I'm sure he's a very sweet son, but he just had the eyes, like shifty eyes. I should have said not serial. I should have gone to serial killer. He had shifty eyes.
I think he also just like hates Deandra. So like he was on the show and he was like, this lady.
But that's what I mean. She let money come in between that relationship, and he was using her money too much. It's all about money. What I did not appreciate about Dee and Deandra when they sat down with Tiffany is how quick they were to jump to the fact that Tiffany should be so fine with what Brandy's video. They were like, that was not her intent. No, she's not racist. That was never her intent. You need to know you don't know her. And I'm just like, let her fucking say one word about this. And it's
not theirs to process. They are white women and her friends. So it's not theirs to decide.
But they were like, if Tiffany thinks that Brandy's racist, like my world will explode.
You know what? That's like a thing that you see a lot now. I feel like I heard someone describe it like, being racist is like people think being called racist is the worst thing in the world. So they have such strong reactions and they always want to like defend from being called a racist when in reality, like probably everyone's a little bit racist. And if you can just accept it, then you can fucking move on. You could be like,
exactly.
Wow, I was a little racist. You know what? We can move on. But everyone's always like, no, she's not. She's not. And it's like.
Well, it is the thing. It's like the fact that we didn't think that was a big deal at the time says a lot about where our heads were at, especially at that time. And now we know better. And now we say to ourselves, okay, the fact that we thought that was okay, what does that say about ourselves? And now we have to, it's like, that's the journey I think that so many of us are trying to go on right now.
What Brandy did, like, that's something that would be done like in 1991 when you're in second grade.
Yes.
Like who?
Yes.
I mean, well.
Like it was not great.
Yeah.
But Brandy, this isn't a defense. It's if anything, it's an attack. Brandy's an idiot.
Yeah.
She's so dim.
I know.
And uncultured.
But I love Brandy. I just love Brandy for some reason.
You do? I do not love Brandy.
I've always just enjoyed Brandy because Brandy reminds me of like the girl who was like the hottest in like 11th grade. And then it's just like holding on to that glory, like that's what Brandy is.
But that girl was mean to me. That girl was nasty.
That girl was a bitch, but like you could have a good time with her. You know what I mean? Like if you caught her in the right.
Definitely a good time, Charlie.
Yeah, if you grew up with her, and from first grade, like you could get in there and have a good time. And
right. And now you're watching it and you're like, oh no, she's drinking too much. This is dark.
Yeah.
But then she'll be fun. Like when she takes that shot and she's wearing that face shield and it knocks into the face shield. I mean, that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
I just thought about too when her and Stephanie were hanging out. I was like, man, these little boys are growing up with like these mothers just walking around in bikinis, like looking that hot. Like that didn't happen when I was a kid. No one's mother looked like that. And like, who knows?
So what are you saying? Is this damaging them or elevating
them? They might
them?
become they might become like sex addicts. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? I don't know.
Because they want to fuck their moms or their mom's friends.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just
Casey, get that bikini out to wear in front of your boys.
They'd be like, ugh.
We're in the different city, but in Salt Lake, when Heather walked in and talked to that dude who was working behind the desk, and she was like,
"Oh God,
can you handle it? You think you can handle it? Oh, we're all packed in." It was so. She's the horniest person. I get it.
She's so horny.
So anyway,
it was really. I was like, "Oh, Heather, don't." Okay, you are. Okay, guys. Again, I have to just quickly touch on Kameron. Okay, I've always had kind of liked her, but really the way Court looks up at her with that mole and just disbelief. It's like he's just meeting her for the first time every time they're talking. Like they do not speak the same language. So when the dog in the opening episode, please watch it if you haven't. So, her dog has passed.
Yes.
Quite a tough fucking revelation that Court possibly killed the dog.
That's tough to recover from.
Not funny.
But she's doing her
She's
best.
like-
she's making her best way for
She's really doing it. She knows where her bread is buttered. She's
Right.
simple.
Right.
Yeah, she's making her dog bed. She made her dog bed. Now she's lying in it because she was like, I'm processing. I mean, Court killed the dog. He had one fucking thing to do, and this is these entitled men. He didn't give the dog his medicine.
Do one thing.
It was tough. It was very tough. But now she's got a new dog. Okay. When the trainer came over, the conversation she had with the trainer, the dog had been away for like 3 months. The question she had. So now the trainer brings the dog back and he's like, okay, we got to really change things around here. She's like, can he wear a baby Bjorn? Can I carry the dog in a baby Bjorn? The trainer's like, no. The trainer's like, it's the same as strollers. I don't like dogs in strollers. She's like, ooh, we have a stroller. Can I get it out? He's like, no. Okay, then he's like, you need to control your impulses the same as the dog has to. And then she's like, look at how that dog is looking right into our souls. That dog is looking into our souls. And then he's like, okay, you will need to give the dog exercise on a treadmill because of the pandemic. And she goes, ooh, mommy, daughter, exercise date. And then he's like, right. And she goes, do you think dogs start to look like their owners?
And he was silent for a second. He didn't know how to react to that one.
I related to Kameron, though, because when she was like, when we move out of this house, we're going to leave the soul of our dog, because they had buried the dog there. And I felt the same thing because my former dog, we had buried in the backyard, we put her ashes in the backyard of my old house. And I truly still think about her like in the backyard. Like, does she miss
No, Danielle, I don't want to question your choice. I just think in future with things like this, because I dedicated a tree in my old house to my mom. I think we got to use public spaces for this.
Yeah.
No one lives this. Like we got to do like a park.
In the house I'm about to move into, I can't remember if I told people.
You-
I believe that the owner passed in the house.
Oh.
And yeah. And the children of the owner, I mean, he was an older gentleman. It was his time. The children of the house that are selling the house had asked me, would you mind if we, after COVID's over, spread his ashes in the backyard? And I said,
Danielle.
Yes, I'll help you do it.
Danielle, listen,
Danielle.
I feel strongly about this. I don't think this is
No,
a good idea.
I said, please. I said, I will help you. I'll throw the
You're very nice, Danielle. That's very sweet.
No,
I would say yes too, but I wouldn't love it, but I would say yes.
Do you get someone to come in to like, because that spirit's going to be there, right? Like, are you going to get someone to come in and try to get rid of the spirit, or do you get someone to come in to help you coexist with it, like Beetlejuice?
No, I'm going to welcome him. It's going to be a Beetlejuice situation for sure.
Fred.
Yes.
You're going to welcome him, Danielle.
I'm going to welcome the spirit of him. I think he's watching over us.
And you're right, because if you were to refuse his ashes, what does he do then?
Yeah.
I guess he
you.
haunts
Then
you.
it becomes a poltergeist situation, and it's like a burial ground.
I won't spend a lot of time on this, but my friends moved into a house in the valley. I think I told you this, Danielle. And their daughter, the first night, the daughter said, I really want this bedroom. I really want this bedroom. And she was the older daughter, and they had given her the option of a bigger bedroom, but she was hell-bent on this one bedroom. Fine. So she goes and she's asleep. And then that morning she says, there's a boy that wanted to play with me last night. And the parents are like, ha, all this. And she's like, well, he wasn't really a boy. He was a man, but he acted like a boy. And the parents are like, it's weird. Okay. And she's like, I won't say his real name because, again, this is a real person. Let's call him, I don't know, Scott. She's like, Scott kept asking if he could play with me and play with the ball. And they're like, okay, that's a bit weird. And then they come to find out so many more things happened in that house. I can't even express to you. They moved out 2 days later and the daughter became possessed. Where she No, I'm dead serious, guys. Okay, listen, they brought in on Zoom.
Valley, Casey.
These are the type of things that go on in the valley, okay? I'm surprised these spirits don't want to fucking run from the valley, but some of them seem to linger, because once you go there, you do not come back. And
you can't get out. You can't get out of the wind. The wind traps you in the valley.
So then the mom's walking down the street and the neighbor comes over and it's all old people. They've all lived there for years and years. This is the first new couple. And she goes, wow, no one ever buys this house. And they got it for a steal. And she's like, why? And she's like, well, a lot of people died in the house, including, well, this man who had major cognitive issues and he never really advanced past the age of 4. Said the name that the daughter had said that was his name. Yes, guys. The next day, the daughter is in the room. She said, he keeps wanting to play with me and I don't really want to play with him. They bring in some fucking witch from San Francisco on Zoom, okay? Who?
This is during COVID?
This is no, but I don't know. They don't want to pay for it to come all the way down, you know? Okay, so the husband, who's a friend of ours, is like, this is a Midwest guy. He's like, this is ridiculous. I'm not paying this woman. This is absolutely ridiculous. So they bring the woman through Zoom, and right when she walks in the house, before she gets in, she goes, okay, this used to be a kitchen. Talk with the contractor. It used to be. She's like, there's a man shaving here. There's a woman here. There's a couple here. Like everywhere they walked in, there were spirits. And she's like, there are so many spirits trapped in this house. The contractor knew it was haunted, and that's why they did such a deep discount. No one would buy it because a lot of people were picking up on bad vibes. Last thing, they now walk into the bedroom of Scott, the adult man.
Okay.
All of a sudden, the Zoom just goes crazy. Like they can't listen to her. It's going like nuts, in and out, in and out. And then finally she comes on and she's like, so unfortunately, there's a mom who is screaming at this son, berating him. She is terrible to him. She is awful to him. Then there's a grandmother here asking him to come to the light and to leave. Like leave this house. They're kind of in between them. And her husband, our friend, faints in the hallway.
No!
He faints and he says, I had a dream that there was this kind of adult man and that a grandmother who was washing dishes was like a mom was screaming at her kid and a grandmother was like beckoning him. He dreamed it. Last thing. The next morning, they're like, do we move? What do we do? This is crazy. And their daughter, all of a sudden, very sweet girl who I know, just goes, Mommy! And starts clawing at their hair. Okay? And just becomes a complete animal, clawing at their faces, grabbing their hair. And she was possessed. And she's like, my name is Madeline! Like something insane. They throw everything in the car. They forget the dog. They have to go back and get the dog. She is screaming and clawing and kicking and like even become like a complete monster. Okay? Then they drive over the hill from the valley. And she goes, she's not even in her car seat. They don't even strap her. And she's like, what happened?
She doesn't remember.
She doesn't remember a word of it. And they moved. And they had to have an exorcist come. And a woman was in the house for 3 days trying to clear those spirits. And next thing they know, it sold to a very nice gay couple.
Damn. That's why I don't
the
watch
valley
horror
for you,
movies.
Danielle.
That's the valley? That's your story about the valley?
And just know I've left out several crazier details.
Wow. So is that what you're saying is going to happen in my house? Like,
No, I was going to ask the next question was like, do you know what the guy did? Like, do you know what kind of man he was? Like, what kind of person he was?
According to his children, he was lovely. He loved living in the house. It was like his dream to live in this house. Like it has like kind of.
And he loved dying in it too.
He loved dying in it. He loved living it. They had an idyllic childhood. Again, they're not going to tell us he was like a terrible man that smacked them around or anything. Like, but
you get a good energy when you're in the house.
I have a great energy in the house, and I thought my first instinct was I like this man. He seemed to like live all his years and have his family in this house, and I'd like him to watch over us.
That's cool. I love that.
I had. So I don't
really
know,
nice.
but that was
That's very nice.
My initial thought was like, oh, we don't have any grandparents out here.
I haven't had grandparents for like.
Me neither. Did you say to the family, Danielle, in exchange for us scattering him, can he be my grandpa too?
No, but I did.
Are you not telling them that?
Maybe I did think maybe they'll knock some off the price.
Danielle, what's that?
Just, I don't know. I'm always looking for a deal.
I'm always quick to find like a grandmother or a grandfather energy because I haven't had any for so long. It's like, oh, you're old, you're wise. Like, let's have lunch. Talk to me. Become my friend.
That's how I felt.
We all just want to be taken care of in some form or another.
Even by someone who's alive or dead.
Including Scotty, Again, the man.
R.I.P.
He's moved out of the middle plane. Okay. Anyway, wow.
What a day.
Do you believe in this stuff, Paul?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. After my dad passed, like I saw some crazy things in our house. That was the moment I was like, and now I believe in ghosts, And
could we hear one?
Yeah, it would just like the biggest one that was pretty crazy is I was watching television and all of a sudden like the volume goes all the way up. And I told my sister, she was in like the kitchen, but it was like a half wall, so it was all connected. And I told my sister to stop turning the volume. And I look back and she's looking at me and we both look at the remote that neither one of us has. And the volume just like going up and down. And then for like that week, 2 weeks after, the lights would flicker, they would go off, they would come on. It was really...
I mean, they say they try to communicate with you through a lot of technology and electronics. It's a main mode of communication.
Yeah, I was acutely aware of that. And then I had some dreams about my dad. And then after the 2 weeks, they really stopped. And I was like, oh, he needs to be with my mom. And so she was still having dreams and stuff like that. And then like now about maybe twice a year, I'll have a really intense dream about my father. And I just feel like it's him visiting the spirit. And, I wake up and it feels like we had just talked and it's always wonderful. And so I totally believe in in ghosts and stuff like that.
Wow.
I like that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, on that note. Guys, Paul, thank you so much for...
It's been so fun to see you guys. Yeah, it's good to see you guys. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
No, I got nothing. I got nothing to plug. Let's all be kind to each other.
What about your show on Netflix? I know. And then you're doing...
Well, yeah, soundtrack's still up there, but it's only one season, but it's still on Netflix. Give it a shot. Give it a whirl. It's fun. And yeah.
And where can we find you to follow you?
I'm on the Instagram. You can find me if you need to. I'm not that active, but...
Wow, very cryptic.
Well, I mean, just,
Yeah, if you want to find him, look him up.
Just look
him up, guys.
Don't
make us do your job for you.
Yeah. Paul James. And you can fucking figure out what his handle is.
Just figure it out. I'm only on Instagram. That's all I got.
Wow. Paul James, you're the best. Sorry I took so long to tell that story.
No, it was a great story.
It was shocking.
Shocking. Was great.
Okay. And thank you all for listening. This has been wonderful, Paul. Thank you so much to Caitlin and to Renee and to Earwolf and to Kim and to you, Danielle.
And to me.
Okay. Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.